Hey, how's it going? How are you doing? Uh, we are. Let me change. Let me get a little closer to you. It's more intimate feeling because we're doing something a little different today. Today, we're gonna rank every double page spread from Kamandi that Jack Kirby made. He did 40 issues, and in total, I believe it's 29 double page spreads. And I read Kamandi just recently, and I talked about it on Twitter, and I believe I talked about it on stream here too. I think it's like an excellent jumping on point for anyone wanting to read Jack Kirby stuff, which is why I keep like talking about it. It's 40 issues. It's self-contained. And I bounced off of Kirby stuff. And for anyone who who isn't familiar with Jack Kirby, he made like Fantastic Four, Captain America, like basically most of Marvel, most of old school Marvel, he and Stan Lee made. The thing is that like comics from the 60s, kind of wordy, tough to get into, kind of bounced out of it. I started reading like Essential Fantastic Four. They're printing them in black and white on like newsprint and these giant like phone book kind of things. We've talked about this on stream before. And I was reading it and just bouncing off it hard. Like everyone kind of praises Jack Kirby as being this dynamic, interesting artist where like all the poses are like just so full of life and energy. And I was reading this Fantastic Four and I was like, I'm not getting this at all. But it's like early in Jack Kirby's career. And for better or worse, Stan Lee's also there. And like he's certainly putting text on every page everywhere he can. And it's just it's tough. It's tough to get through. I mean, I respect it because it like there was nothing like it at the time, but like it just I don't know. It's tough. It didn't grab me. It didn't age well. Kamandi, however, is Jack Kirby in the 70s, and he's done more comics. He's drawn more pages than I will ever draw in my lifetime by now, and he still had so much career left. And so he made Kamandi, and he wrote it and drew it. So no Stan Lee. We're not dealing with that anymore. In fact, we're at DC. So it's kind of like a interesting point in his career, and he got to do kind of whatever he wanted with it. The thing about Kamandi is, and we're gonna get to the art in a second. The thing about Kamandi is, it's blatantly trying to capitalize on like Planet of the Apes and the hype that was around those movies, which you'll see with the first double page spread, because like they kick it off immediately, like they kick the door in and they're like, it's Planet of the Apes, but not, because it's when they were making it too, they said, hey Jack, we want to do this. I believe they canceled Forever People in order to start working on Kamandi. And they were like, we want to do something that's Planet of the Apes adjacent, but like legally distinct enough for us to make it our own thing. And so he made this thing, which we're going to get into, and he thought that he was just like making the concept and somebody else was going to write it and draw it, but turns out he's hooked in. He did all of it, like wrote all of it, drew all of it. The only thing he didn't draw were covers near the end. Joe Kubert started drawing those. They're also very, very good. But yeah, we can start getting into Kamandi now. Let's yeah, so I was thinking like the best way to do this would be to just do like an up or down vote, like good or bad, and then kind of see where we end up. I would like to rank them like top to bottom. So what makes a good double page spread? In my mind, a good double page spread is something that we can't necessarily get out of a regular page, which means like I see a lot of modern double page spreads, and I tweeted about this. Like I was like, I'm begging you to please stop doing double page spreads. Like a lot of people engaged with that tweet, had very strong feelings one way or the other. When I read these digitally, by the way, it is a nightmare because it's made to be read with like a floppy, like 20-page comic book where you open it up and you can lay it flat. But what happens is like when double page spreads get collected, the spine is like crushing the thing, and the it just sucks all the art in, and then you miss like an inch down like the middle of the page. Just like you can't see it, it just gets sucked in there. And then God help you if you put a word balloon in there. I was reading a book just recently where the artist was doing double page spreads all the time, and he was just kind of like putting a wide top panel and then like the rest of it was just regular panels, or worst of all, wide bottom panel, the rest of it's regular panels. So I don't even know it's a double page spread until I've read half the thing wrong. Like, please, that's the kind of stuff I'm begging you not to do. So with that in mind, what we want is art that requires a grand gesture, you know, like art that kind of like speaks to what's happening in the story, and like kind of a beautiful vista, or like a wonderful moment, or you know, like something that like that needs that second page. Like they couldn't do it with one page. And in fact, Kamandi, I think like they do some 3/4 page stuff, but they never do like a full one spread. The only time we get a spread at all is with a double page spread. So with that in mind, let's do like a straight up and down. So I have all the spreads over here in my layers palette. I just like screenshotted from Comixology. I don't know if that counts as piracy. If it does, please do not report me. So anyway, police haven't knocked down the door yet, so we're good to go. We're just gonna do straight up or down, good or bad. And hopefully it breaks about 15-15 or 15-14 because it's 29 spreads. I would say this is issue 1. Kamandi is new to the world, and right off the bat, like the end of Planet of the Apes for the first movie, in case you don't know, it's a Planet of the Apes. They realize that it's you know, he's not on like an alien world. It's like it's Earth. They blew it up. It's like Charlton Heston pounded in the sea or whatever. And they see the Statue of Liberty like half underwater. And like this is 3 pages into like issue 1, and it's just like, hey, that thing that everybody loved from that movie that was like the very end, we're just doing it right off the bat. Perfect double page spread. We're gonna put it in the yes category. I gotta make like a group. Can we just, yeah, can I, oh, okay, perfect, okay. So yes to this group. And we're gonna say no to this group, just straight up and down, yes or no. So I would say that this double page spread is a yes. Let's fix this, okay. So in this double page spread, you have the rats, and they are in New York City, and they're trying to get into this like blimp thing that Ben and these mutants are part of. I'm kind of medium on this spread because of the white background. Like I just don't think it works super well. And I feel like this could have been a couple panels and we would have been fine. It doesn't have the scope that this one does. However, I think it's going to be a yes, only because we're cutting them in half. But I think it's on the lower end of the yes. Okay, this is the third one. This is issue 3. Kamandi is getting running into the Guerrilla Nation, I think maybe for the first time, and he's he's being like roped up and herded with the other people who are considered animals in this world. It's like Planet of the Apes. The apes are the dominant force, and the people have no language or culture or anything. This one is so good. This is like perfect Jack Kirby. Like this dynamic rope, this pose with the gun going off, like it is so good. These guys coming over the ridge, this guy in the foreground, and then like we have like 6 planes of foreground to background. We have the procession of men in the back. Like perfect. That's a yes. This is number 4, issue 4. This is Ben and the Other Mutants. These are the only other like educated men that we, I say educated, I mean like, you know, people who have language. They have a mutation that protected them from the end of the world. Yeah, and like this is fine, but this is not where Jack Kirby, like, I feel like thrives. Like he's trying to draw this like dilapidated, you know, shopping plaza, and it's neat because Kamandi has a comic book, and I think that later in the issue he is actually reading first issue of The Demon, which is another Jack Kirby DC project. But like the perspective like on this half of this second page is all wonky and weird. Looks like he's falling backwards. Yeah, Jack Kirby doing landscapes is not where he's strongest. And this is something that I didn't realize with Jack Kirby before I had started reading some of it, and before it like clicked with me, because a lot of this just looks like old comic books. Jack is best when he is just drawing dynamic moments. Like he will outdraw every dynamic moment from any like modern artist. The places where, and like his shorthand for objects and things like these, like, you know, squiggles and crackles and stuff, that's like uniquely his. He made that, and like that language is so important to comics and so interesting that, like, you know, because you don't see this kind of stuff. You don't get crackles and this kind of stuff from like life drawing. Like that's his. However, when he's trying to do like, here's a beautiful thing in perspective, like it kind of falls apart when he tries to do like portraiture. Like that's not his strongest. Like respect him from doing it, respect him for attempting it. This is probably one of the best places in the book that he's drawn, certainly up to now. But like it just doesn't work. He draws tech, like text, I don't know how to describe it, like sci-fi futuristic tech, like really, really well. And it looks bonkers, and it's so creative and interesting. And he does those landscapes really well, but this doesn't necessarily work. So I think this is going to be a no for me. Here we are in issue 5. This is where I was saying before, he's like drawing dynamic stuff, thriving. This is the Tiger Army versus the Guerrilla Army. Commandee's here in the very background with the prince back here, of the Tiger Army. Like so good, so good. Like the horses are coming over this ridge. These guys are fighting over here. This guy's got a knife in his mouth. It's just so good. Like it is just so good. I don't have enough good things to say about it. Like this guy's arming an artillery. This guy's shooting behind him through. There's so much dynamic movement, but also like it's basically diagonally across the page like this. You know, like it reads up here and then it just pushes you this way. It's so good. And he does that with fire and crackle up here, fire and crackle down here, and then this guy just points you right through the page. Like you want to, you like slowly move through the page and you just want to flip, you know? It's perfect. That's gonna be a yes. Did that go? That went. Wait, was that wrong? I moved the wrong thing. Oh God, this is off the rails. This is gonna be a yes. Okay. All right. Here is Commandee and Flower. She is a girl that he met in the Wastes, who kind of attached herself to him. She's like kind of on the smarter side for the animals, but she has taken a liking to Kamandi, and Kamandi's trying to protect her. These are like the Red Riders, I think. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's okay. Like, I feel like this could have been a single spread and it would have been fine. Like, we're not getting... It's a hectic moment. I think it's a yes, but it's like bottom tier yes. And I know we're putting a lot into the yes right now, but I feel like he starts to struggle a little bit in the back half of the book than he does in the first half of the book, as far as double page spread goes. And when I say struggle, I mean like he starts trying things that aren't necessarily working, but it's like interesting to see him experiment. This could have been panels. Like it's fine. These are the lions that have rescued Kamandi after poachers have killed Flower. It's okay. Like, it's kind of neat to see like them hanging out, and like Kamandi and Grief and the Sultan here is you know, consoling Kamandi, recognizing his intelligence. That's like kind of a big thing, a big theme of the book is like Kamandi is smart, everybody else thinks he's an animal, and he's like, men are people, you know, like he's freaking out. But I think this is a no for me. Here's a great one. So this is Sultan's showing Kamandi statues in a museum that he's recovered over the years. And this is what I was talking about with perspective and stuff. Like, Kirby is giving us a bunch of things to look at, but he's also drawing this staircase, and he's keeping it so simple. Like, staircase is blacked out on one side, lines. That's it. Like, and the way he's drawing it, and the way he draws this tech here, and this tech in the background in the corner, like, you don't necessarily feel like it's like especially when you look here as like this little alcove down here, it doesn't feel like it's in the right perspective, but there's enough going on, enough figure work going on, enough interesting stuff going on that you like let him slide. Like, you're like, this is so weird looking and so interesting that you're like, you're stop thinking about perspective. I think this is a cool one, but I think it's a no. I think it's at the top of the no pile, though. Okay, so this is issue 9. This is the only time he uses a photograph in the whole thing. I think this is an aggressive no. I think this is the worst double page spread in the book. It's not like, I understand he's photo bashing here, which is really interesting to see in the 70s, but like, he's photo bashing and then he's like zip toning it. You can't tell because whatever, but he's zip toning it, and then sorry, I'm lining it up after that zoom. But you can tell that like this ridge and this like crater, this was like probably a shot of the moon. This was like probably Arizona or something, Grand Canyon, I don't know, a mountain range somewhere. These might have been two different things. And then he like put another crater here, and he drew these guys up in front. And it's interesting to see the photo bashing happening in the 70s, like pre-Photoshop. Like, he probably had to cut all this stuff out. But and like the tech is interesting that like he made Kirby tech work within a photo. It's interesting. It's not good. So there's a reason he only did it once in the issue, or in the run. This one's freaking bonkers. Is a hard yes. Giant bats have infiltrated the like moon base thing. That's what this thing is. This is like their moon base thing. what do they call it? The tracking site or something like that. Gosh, I wish I had read this sooner to doing this stream. I'd finished reading this about a month ago. Anyway, yeah, so bats are trying to get in to this floating observatory laboratory. And there's weapon systems that keep them at bay, but they had to shut down the power for a couple of reasons. And the bats get in, and they are like basically insane animals. They're not hyper intelligent. They're just like, we're just gonna take this whole place down. They like rip through the walls, like you can see them ripping through the walls back here. And then this dude, the misfit, is down here. He's like kind of a brain guy, like MODOK looking dude. One of the things I think is kind of neat is Kamandi's over here just blasting away and not even looking where he's blasting. Just like, the bats are over there, that's fine. I'm gonna shoot over there and whatever. It's super fun. Figure work is super fun. I don't know if it's the best double page spread, but I think it's a yes. Here is Sacker's department store. This is when Kamandi gets involved. He crash lands out of the floating laboratory, and he gets scooped up by Sacker. This is the start of, I think, the best arc within the 40 issues. This is issue number 11. It's the start of the arc, but you can really jump in at issue 12 with Click Clack and Click Clack. Did I just say it twice? I said it twice the same way, but I thought about it differently. That's weird. Anyway, I love seeing the ship. I love seeing all the stuff, I love the map. The map is really cool, but I don't know if this is necessarily like needs to be a double page spread. Like, you could have seen the ship and everything. Although, I don't know, it's kind of neat seeing the ship and everybody on it and like all the details and everything. If I was a kid, I would have poured over this. So maybe it's a yes. Okay, all right. This one's fantastic. So this is the Sacker death race. Kamandi is riding Click Clack. It's not Click Clack, it's Click Lack. It's so strange. Anyway, Click Lack, I don't know, whatever. Do they say his name up here? They don't. So like, Sacker is this guy who's like capitalism gone amok. He's just like trading in the old world, trading in the new world, like pillaging the old world for goods that he can trade and build his empire. He's also doing this death race, which is like, he gets a bunch of humans together and they race, and the humans have like their hierarchy amongst themselves, and like Kamandi's racing this giant cricket that they call a devil, and like it's just bonkers. This dude's riding a bison back here, or a buffalo, and like his bull bantam. He's like this rival that Kamandi like starts to have. It's so good. The story is so good. This double page shot is so good because it shows like just the absolute mayhem on the track. But like, not only that, but you get a crowd scene, which is kind of neat. Like, you don't really see a whole lot of these in Jack Kirby books. A lot of them are very tight like shots. You don't get a lot of people per panel. And although, you know, he's just kind of gesturing them in, like, it's neat to see, and it's neat to get the scope of everything. So I think that this one is a hard yes. This one as well. This is, so Kamandi is leaving Sackers at the behest of his friend, the Prince of Tigers. And like, I remember flipping this open for the first time and being like, yes. Yes, because like at this point, like the prince is trying to get Kamandi out of trouble, and like he has to show force to Sacker in order to like get Sacker on board with it, basically. And like they're talking about how like you know, in the previous pages they're talking about how like, you know, Kamandi, I'm doing you this solid, like you gotta hold your chin up, stick with me, it's still dangerous here, like we have to like be in force. And then you flip this page and you're just like, hell yeah, like Caesar, great Caesar is like mounting up. Great Caesar is his dad, he's the prince Tufton. But it's like Tiger Troops mount up and you're just like, I love it. You usually don't get this many horses on per page, so it's super fun to see. That's a hard yes. This one's so good. So like, this is when they start to get into like how it happened, that like the whole Planet of the Apes situation is going on. I really love it. It's like all the other yeses have been this super dynamic, like interesting posing stuff that Jack Kirby's really good at. And then this one isn't. But it still like works really well. So you're getting all this dynamic Jack Kirby posing in these like chaotic, packed cells. Like it feels claustrophobic in the cells, but you're also getting this very flat, frank framework where you're just like, you're moving left to right slowly, and all the detail that Jack is like cramming into like this part of the page, like here to here, like he's purposely leaving a lot of blank space here, and you are moving slowly looking at this page, like looking at every single person, every single like thing going on. And then eventually you see Kamandi and you're like, oh, Kamandi's like with us, walking through this space slowly with us, you know? I think it's just brilliant. It's so good. It's such a good double page spread. I would love to steal this double page spread at some point in my career. It'd be fun to have a throwback. Here's Kamandi captured by the gorillas. I also think that this is really fantastic. It's something that definitely could have been like a single page or even a couple of panels, but it's just with the double page spread, with the size of it, you really feel like Kamandi's getting piled on. Like he's fighting for his life, and you can barely even see him. Like you only see his shoulder and his hips and his legs and his head. Like he's getting piled on, and that sense of like space and the lack of agency Kamandi has over the space is really great. Plus you have like the gorillas are all in green and darker colors. Kamandi's the lightest thing on the page, and you have this like nice little slope through it. It's so good. I love this double page spread. I think this double page spread is a yes, but I think it's low on the list. I don't think it's one of the best, but I think it is a yes. We've only done 4 no's. This is not a good situation. Maybe we should have done a maybe. I don't know. This double page spread rules. There's gorillas coming in the back. There's gorillas coming in the front. This one's tripping over the desk. Like, yeah, it's just, this is Jack Kirby at his finest. Like, when you want Jack Kirby, this is what you want. Like, Kamandi could be like, look at this pose. This pose is bonkers. He could be standing there. Like, he could be standing there, or like, you know, arms, you know, like strong, like pose, like anchored. But instead, he's just as dynamic as everybody else is. And like, I love this pose of the ape going over the desk. It's so interesting. We're gonna say that's a yes. Here he is, Commandee in Chicago. This is a weird car that he stole, but this is an old-timey car. He's in Chicago with gangsters. This is a very weird turn for Kamandi. You guys should read this book. It's so good. I think this one's a no, just because it just feels very boring. You know, like they're just like having a conversation. I don't know. I think it's a no for me. I think this could have been done in a couple pages and been just as effective. here's the reveal that the gangsters were robots all along. Everybody's robots in Chicago, which is strange. I love this figure. I love Kamandi being held back in the background here, but like, and Jack's starting to do, you know, he's doing some perspective stuff. This is, by the way, do I have any Marvel theories that I've made or are invested in with Kirby? Not yet. I'm not there yet, man. Appreciate the bit though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting that he left and then he came back. I can only imagine that there's only one reason you leave, right? With Marvel and DC, when you're so committed. Like Jack Kirby was committed to Marvel. There's only one reason that you would leave, and that's just because you have things that you want to try that you're not getting an opportunity to, you know? I don't know how much writing offhand, like I haven't read a ton of Jack Kirby, but I don't know how much writing he was doing over at Marvel. He was edited, written, and drawn by Jack Kirby. Like this is something he made that was like his, you know? And I don't know how much interference he was getting with like Stan and the rest of the bullpen, and you know, who knows? I think that if anything, he would be the person to talk to. So get your Ouija boards out and ask him. Anyway, I like seeing Jack doing some like interesting perspective. This is, by the way, like Jack made like a ton of pages in his career. And like when you read Jack Kirby stuff, it is packed with shortcuts. Like one of the things that's absolutely fantastic about Jack Kirby is like you look at this page, and I feel like most people approaching a page to draw like this would be like, oh, we got to draw the buildings, we got to keep it all in perspective, the trucks over here, we got to do that, like and Jack is like, well, we're gonna cover like this is fire back here. We got a full crowd scene here. We got a guy here. So because we have this full crowd scene, we don't have a horizon line. Like that's very clear to the reader. You can kind of figure out a horizon line like here-ish with Kamandi's shoulders from the lines that are here on the building. But like this doesn't follow the horizon line. These kind of don't. These are like kind of isometric back here, and then this is flat across the street. And like you kind of don't, you like forgive the perspective that's happening here. Like I when I first read this page, I wasn't like, oh, Jack screwed up all the perspective, this page is awful. I was like, this page rules, I'm gonna keep reading. Like it's a masterclass in like what you have to draw and what you can kind of get away with. And I see a lot of comic artists get away with covering up a lot of perspective stuff too, with like this kind of stuff where it's like building on one side, big truck on the other, and then you have like a small window right here where it's like you got to make perspective work. And if you can push that far enough into the background, you don't even really have to make it work. You can just eyeball it like Jack's doing right here. Like I don't think he's throwing down perspective points and horizon lines. I think he's drawing the figures and then trying to build around that, which is interesting. That's speculation. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like this is born from a sketch that he's just like riffing. And it looks fantastic, but I think it's a no just because it's, I don't know. In the scope of everything Jack's doing, like I think it's kind of boring. Here's my least favorite part of Kamandi, but also with my favorite characters. The dolphins are like yelling at Kamandi to hit this guy. It's a neat double page spread, but there's not a lot going on. I don't know what to say more about this than what we already did. This part of Kamandi is so interesting though. It's like the dolphins are training humans as companions like we would a dog or anything else, you know. They are also like in these pods because they're dolphins of like water where humans are like shuttling them around. It's bonkers. It's so weird, but then the issues are kind of I'm gonna say this is a no. 24. This is issue 24. We're more than halfway through. This is like a weird Jack Kirby haunted house thing. I think that this double page spread would have benefited from modern colors. I think that this would look fantastic with modern colors, but suffers because of the time that it was made in, which is like not Jack's fault, but is something that is like, it is what it is. I'm gonna say this is a no, just because it's like Jack's trying to draw this dynamic house and there's really no focus, and I don't know. And then you see the figures over the hill, and then there's this other building back here, and he's like washed up on the shore. There's so much going on in the sky. Like, I know what he was trying to do, but I feel like it just doesn't click, so I'm gonna say no. This one is dense. I like this one. It's gonna be a no, but I like it because it's like all these characters in a double page spread, like, and you're right on top of them and they are panicked looking back at you, which is like a really interesting way to approach a page. It really makes you want to flip the page. It really makes you want to like check out the issue. I think that it's smart writing. I think it's creatively smart. It's not a great double page to look at though. So I think this is going to be a no. We're racking up the no's later in the issues, like I thought. This is 26. This is the next issue. Kamandi's trying to get into the devil areas of the world that are hidden by radiation. Excuse me while I have a little bit of water. Been talking and talking. It's neat to see the scope of like the cliffside that they're on, but there's really nothing to look at here. Like, we see these little guys and this cliffside, but like, I don't know, the cliffside isn't particularly interesting. It's kind of like built like Jack Kirby shorthand. After you've read 25 other issues, like, you don't need to see this. Like, I don't know. He's doing some feathering stuff with the clouds. Like, I appreciate him like experimenting and trying things, but this is a no for me because it's just not engaging. 27. This is pretty fun. So this is Ben. This is one of the mutants with Kamandi. This is a giant ant, and this is a bulldog French Legionnaire. The book is bonkers. Please read Kamandi. And then we're getting into the Dominion of the Devils, which is in this new area. I love all these characters, and I love this mess that Kamandi is in, and I especially love the French Legionnaire bulldogs, but I think this is a no for me. It's like there's like a lot going on, but there's also like not a great focus. There's not like, it's not interesting or dynamic enough. They're just like walking around. I don't know. And it's neat to see the map, but it's like, I wish that we just got a huge map, you know? Or like, I wish this was more dynamic, or they were like holding the map. I don't know. Like, it just feels like it's not his strongest. Now, here we go. So I love the way that this is laid out because you have these three characters and they're all looking this way at Kamandi. Like, Kamandi's an intruder into this scene. And like, that is especially made apparent by the fact that like he has like a very strong pose here, and Kamandi is like weak, like he's stumbling backwards, like he just bumped into the guy, and he's like not even allowed on the page, almost like he's getting pushed out of the page. And I think that's really interesting. And when you read it left to right, like if you flipped this page, it would not work as well. Because we would be like, oh, we see all the people, and oh, there's Kamandi, and he's not welcome. But like this feels like we've walked in and we're being bumped out by this. And I think that it works really well with a double page spread. I think this is a yes. Here is issue 29. This is a really interesting issue. It's not my favorite issue of Kamandi, but it links Kamandi to the DCU. It's kind of funny that I read this. So there's like, nuclear winter that happened, or nuclear disaster. They're very vague about like what actually destroyed the world. And I just read Wonder Woman Dead Earth, drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. And it also has like world ending stuff, like with Wonder Woman waking up in the future. And it feels like Kamandi and Wonder Woman Dead Earth could like go together and overlap in a really interesting way. I wonder if DC's ever thought of that. They should do that. They should overlap it. Anyway, Kamandi stumbles on a cult of apes that worship the Superman costume and pass down tales of Superman through generations. They kind of explain it. This is like, I know that we're seeing the tablet, like this is a comic that's written into the stone that Kamandi is looking at, but like this is the stuff that drives me nuts with double page spreads. It's like either make the double page spread or make the panels this half measure is like not what I want. Important issue, interesting issue, not a great double page spread. Great moment, but yeah, not a great double page spread. This one is kind of, it's supposed to be like, this is an alien, they're in an alien ship, he and Ben, the mutant, and they're floating. They're supposed to be weightless, but I think that the things that play well to Kirby are actually working against him on this double page spread, because everything is so wonky and it doesn't feel like there's a good horizon line, a good sense of space. Like I don't have a good sense of space. So like when I see this, and then he's drawing characters so dramatically all the time that like when I see this, I don't think, oh, Kamandi's floating. I just think, what's happening? What's happening here? Like, I don't understand. So I think this is a no for me, just because it just doesn't work as well as I want it to. We've been racking up a lot of no's lately. I feel bad about that, but we needed a few of them. We're almost done. So this is issue 31. This is Ben has been enlarged, and he's no longer himself, I believe. And he's trying to get captured by the apes. Not sure who these people are. Can't remember offhand. I know the apes and the tigers are fighting. That's usually what's happening. I'm not sure which faction this is. I think this one's kind of weak. Like, I wish Kamandi was like a little smaller, because Ben's size like fluctuates wildly in this issue. He's very tall. He's not that tall. I don't know. So I'm gonna say this is a no, just because I just don't think it works as well as it could. Like, again, the stuff that Jack is really great at is working against him, unfortunately, in this. Like, we need more sense of space. We need him to back up the camera. We need to have like a solid horizon line, a solid sense of space, and we just don't get that here. Issue 35. They are now in space. This is cool, but like, I don't think it holds up well. It probably like, now I'm thinking about it, it was probably like really interesting in the 70s when this came out. Like this giant planet, like you turn the page and it's double page spread of this giant planet and they're in space. Like this was probably, you know, soon, not that later past the space race in the 60s, you know? So it's probably like, it probably felt new and amazing and interesting. But nowadays, I don't think it has held up very well. And again, I think it's hampered by the fact that he did not have access to modern colorists and he was like kind of stuck in this old coloring way. I think that it is a no from me. And we're on to the last double page spread. The one that is maybe second to worst, just because it's like Jack just, like we just got a comic up here and then we just got a wide panel down here that is like half text and then like a giant, it's just, there's too much going on. It's not a good double page spread. Like this is the double page spread here and then we got comic and design around it and it's like not even a good double page spread. He's throwing right to left, which like it would look faster if he threw it left to right because we're reading in that direction. I don't know. It's not a great one. It's a no for me. So, where did that leave us? Let's sort all the yeses. All right. Let me think about how we're going to do this, because I want to sort them all. We're just going to close the no thing. All right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13. We almost split 50-50. Almost. If this was 14, it would have been 50-50. That works out. So this is a great one. I think we're gonna go like, okay, we're gonna pick one and then we're gonna see the next one and we're gonna be like better or worse. And then I think we're gonna try to do it that way. So obviously this is our baseline. This is the first one. The rats, I think, are worse just because it's not as dynamic or interesting. So we're gonna do that underneath. This is super dynamic and interesting. I think this is better than the Statue of Liberty one. I think that it's just way, it plays to Jack's strengths better. This is like, I feel like this is the bar. Like this is one of the ones that's like contextually really good, really interesting, really dynamic, but it's not great, it's not bad. I feel like it's right in the middle. Trains rolling by. This one's fantastic. I think this is one of my favorites. We're gonna put it up high. This one's a little weak. I think it's better than the rats, but not better than the Statue of Liberty. The bats, I feel like, are the same. The bats, the rats, and the bikers, I feel like, are all kind of the same group. I think the bats are a little more interesting than the bikers. Sacker is cool. I think we're gonna put this. I think we're gonna put the Sacker. I'm trying to figure out where exactly it goes. Maybe I don't think it's as interesting as the bats, but I think it might be more interesting than the bikers. The track is better than the Sacker. I think it goes there. I think it's better than the Sacker race or the Sacker ship, and worse than the bats. The storyline's better than the bats, but I think it's worse than the bats. What do we have here? This is also one of my favorites. Wait, is this twice? No. This one is my favorite now. Thought issue 5 was my favorite, but wait, is issue 5 my favorite? I think issue 5 is a little better than issue 15. Issue 15 is really great, but issue 5 is just so bonkers. This one is I think one of the more unique Jack Kirby ones. I think it's better than the Statue of Liberty, but worse than the more dynamic ones that he has built. Maybe? Actually, like, this is dynamic, but it's not crazy. Like, I kind of appreciate the experimentation a little more. So we're going to push it there. This, I also feel like he's experimenting with space a little bit more than normal for when we talked about it. Just kind of like making it as claustrophobic as possible. I don't think it's as successful as the Cages, so I'm going to put it here after the Cages, but better than this one. Yeah, I think it's a good spot for it. And then we have more dynamic stuff, but I think this is going to be lower on the list. I think it's better than the Rats, maybe not better than the Bikers. Definitely not better than Sacker. And then we have this one where he's bumping into the Bulldogs. I think this one is better than that one. Better than the Bikers. Better than Sacker. Not better than the Bat. I think it's... Oh, this is tough. Because it's hard for me to... I have such fondness for this particular story that, like, it's hard for me to be like... It's hard for me to be impartial with the only double page spread that Click-Clack is on. Which I think speaks volumes of the writing that was happening in this arc. I feel like this arc with the Death Race was the best of the run. It's just so good. And it's the stuff that really stuck with me the longest. I think the writing is better, but it might not be better as far as visually. I think this is the run. All right, I think we're gonna go best to least right now, and then we're gonna work on the nose. This is the top double page spread. It feels weird. This is the top double page spread. This is the top. I fixed it. This one, issue 15. Kamandi rolling out with the Great Caesar Tiger Troops. I feel like it's something that Jack doesn't normally do. It's like a quieter moment, but it's also an impressive moment. And I don't think Jack necessarily does subtle a lot. And when he does it, and when he does it well, it feels so good. The next one is obviously this Chaos. This is like indicative of the book, basically. Like, this is the world that Jack Kirby lives in and has created for Kamandi. I think it sits at number 2 for a reason. Number 3, I did not think this one was going to be as high as it was, because it's like it's experimental, it's different. It's Jack Kirby trying things, but like, it's not the most dynamic, it's not the most engaging, but it just, I don't know, something about it I just really like. It just works for me. This is number 4. Well, again, interesting use of space. It's like we have, like, the first 2 are like Jack Kirby cramming stuff in, like being like, this is what I expect. This is what I expect from a Jack Kirby book. Like, this is like dynamic, wild, packed with action, everything's exploding, madness. And I think it's interesting that, like, Number 1 is a quiet moment. Number 3 is a quieter moment. Number 4 is kind of a quieter moment, like experimenting with space. Not really experimenting with space, but a quiet moment. I think that's kind of interesting. This is a really just dynamic, like well-drawn piece. And that's why it's high on the list. This is our kind of middle ground for the double page spreads. It sets up Kamandi really well. It's like this is your I don't know what to call this. This is like your vegetables, you know? You need them. And like Jack gave it to us, and he gave it to us well. He like roasted that Brussels sprout real well, put a little butter on that, made that sing. Does it light you up? Not really, but like it's not going to disappoint you either. The bats are totally rad. Man, should the bats be higher? Maybe the bats should be higher. I kind of like the bats. Okay, we'll move the bats up on top of the Statue of Liberty. We have this, again, experimenting with space. Like, this is when a double page spread works really well. When you get to experiment with how the characters are interacting with the space of the page, of the real estate that you're using. That's when you double page spread. Click-clack, interesting. Sacker ship is interesting, but it's like, it's good. It's just not, you know, not blow my hair back. We're starting to get into the nose. We're in the medium pile. Man, I don't know. Maybe we should push up the riders above the ship. The thing is, like, the ship is cool and I like the design, so we're going to keep it. The riders are cool, though. The thing that I don't like about this, I'm just seeing it now, is like the sense of the size of these things is all over the place. Like, Kamandi is in front of these guys. These guys are like as big as the car. They're like gigantic. They're not that gigantic in the book. And then this one is the ape tripping over the desk, which is fantastic, but like, you know, it's definitely a yes, but it's on the lower side. And then the rats going up to the blimp, which is also a yes, but on the lower side. I feel like we have a pretty good, here's best to or worst to best. So the rats, ape tripping over a desk, never not funny. The weird bikes, Sacker ship, the death race, Kamandi bumping into the bulldog, issue 1, the bats ripping apart the ship. It's so good. The look on it is just like, he's just a maniac. This guy's over here. That guy's his friend. It's bonkers. Just good dynamic drawing from Jack Kirby. Like exactly what you want. Again, exactly what you want. Experimenting with the space. Like, I think that the reason that this double page spread works as well as it does, by the way, is because you're getting a lot of like partial figures around Kamandi. Like you never get a full clear picture of the apes tying up Kamandi. And those partial figures and those hands all over him, it just feels claustrophobic and interesting. And I think this is also like a great double page spread as like less is more. Like he could have pulled the camera back a little and showed them like really wrangling him, but it would have, if he had done that, it wouldn't have been as necessarily engaging or interesting as it is right now. Again, what we talked about, the horizontal slow burn of this page, it's so good. Classic Jack Kirby, exactly what you want. And horses. All right, so these are the yeses. we are going to put these into a group. We're going to call this master list. We can delete the yes group. We are going to turn these guys off. So everything should be worse than the rats for the no group. Let's start with this one. This one's not terrible. It's not blowing my hair back. I think it is worse than the rats, so it sits there pretty well. I think there's a group here in the middle that's going to be like this. It's like, it's not terrible. It's not great. It is what it is. We can also put that underneath this guy. I think this is a little more interesting just because we don't see Jack Kirby do this kind of thing more often. But this is just kind of figures and stones. So, yeah. This is more engaging than both of those things. We're going to put it up higher than the storefront and we'll put it right under the rats. I feel like this is maybe this is better than the rats, actually. Is it better than ape falling over desk? No. We're going to put it one above the rats. This is the worst one of the run, without question. This one's okay. People sitting around talking. I think like this one, I think it's a little more engaging because there's a little more, there's extra stuff going on, but I don't think it's better than this one, which is actually showing some drawings that Jack Kirby doesn't normally do. This one's better than sitting around, worse than the actually, no, I think it's better. It's better use of perspective, better use of space. We'll put it higher than the supermarket one. This is going to be low on the list. It's just like, it's just kind of boring. I don't know. Am I wrong with that? Like, just, I can't tell if I'm being colored by the fact that, like, this is my least favorite arc in Kamandi, but, like, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel great. I'm going to put it low on the list. Worse than the tigers sitting around. It's also, like, it's very flat. Like, you don't see Jack do this kind of, where it's like, Kamandi's here, guy's over here, like, and it's just, this is it. That's flat. Like, when you look at some of these better ones, if you look at this one and it's like, there's dudes overlapping, there's guys back here, Kamandi's way in the background, there's like a lot going on. And you look at this one and you're like, I don't know. I think this is maybe one of the second best. This is like, this feels like somebody trying to do Jack Kirby that is not as good as Jack Kirby, even though it is Jack Kirby. And I just said Jack Kirby a lot, but that's fine. The house is interesting, but unsuccessful. I think due to the modern time constraints. I think it's better than the shopping district, worse than the gangsters, that's for sure. Oh God, this one. This is better than this? No. I'm gonna say no. Is it better than the guys sitting around? I don't think it is. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's as successful. I know what he is doing. It's interesting from a writer perspective, not as interesting from an art perspective. And to be fair, I think part of the reason why I like this more than this one, why I like the lions sitting around, is we rarely get a breath in Kamandi. We rarely get like troops talking among themselves, like hanging out. Usually it's constant combat. This one's gonna be low on the list. This was maybe just above issue 9, just because it's like not visually engaging at all. Again, people standing around talking. This is like, oh my God, if you're making double page spreads, don't make people standing around talking in your double page spread. It's not the place for it. I think it's worse than the Lions, because it's like, I think it's worse than the Lions for this reason. The Lions seem to all kind of have character and they're kind of like shooting the shit, whereas this just feels like this guy's yelling and like these guys don't like each other, and then that's it. Like the drawings of the Lions have a little more character, a little more feeling. It feels like they're real. The Superman spread, where do we put this? Out of all of the double page spreads with panels in them, I feel like the Superman spread is maybe the best one, but I think that it is low on my list just because I don't want to read a double page spread with panels on it. Like, give me that big art. Give me that big art. I want it big. Kamandi and Ben being levitated by the alien. That doesn't necessarily really work that well. But it's interesting figure work. I particularly enjoy the knuckles and stuff. Like, there's some interesting shadows, and there's Kirby tech in the back. There's like stuff to look at. Like here, there's just like nothing to even look at. Like the Superman spread, I'm kind of medium on. We can put the Superman spread over the cliff side. And then this one's just awful. This is, by the way, this is the only one where I was like, out of all of these, like I'm ranking them and I'm talking bad about some spreads here, but this was the only one that I was like, oh no. Oh no, Jack. What did you do? Like, all the other ones I enjoyed, some more than others. Yeah, I feel like these two have the same energy. These two have the same energy. This one and this one. And it's flat, apathetic energy. I think maybe the floating's a little better than the water. Ben being zapped. I think it's a little worse than the floating. Better than this. Yeah, probably. The space stuff, kind of weak. Gosh, it's definitely near the bottom, but it's like, probably this, I'd rather see this than this. I just feel like we're not getting enough like overlapping elements in this. We're not getting a good sense of space. It's just like planet, spaceship, done. It just feels boring when it could feel like dynamic. Like a lot of the Silver Surfer, like Cosmic Thor stuff, like feels really dynamic, and this just doesn't. It doesn't click. It's also like he's at issue 35 at this point, and I don't know if they're starting to see writing on the wall as far as like, you know, sales numbers. I wonder if like we see like the master list is like 15, 5, 16, 17, 3, 10, 1, 28 is like the first one where we're in the back half of the run. 14, 11, 16, 18, 8, 2, 20, 24 is the second one. So we're like, the best double page spreads are all in the first half of the book. I don't think that's coincidence. I think that maybe they're starting to see a decline in sales, and maybe Jack is starting to put his time into other places. Which, respect for the freelance hustle, man. Like, you got to manage your time. I think that it's worse than the Superman one, better than the Cliffside. Here's one that I just absolutely despise. I think it's a drawing, so it's better than the worst one, but yeah. Okay, I think this is the master list. Let's run it worst to best and see if there's any like odd standouts or anything weird. Okay, we're gonna chuck this no. All right. Far and away, the only spread that made me go, oh, Jack. No, buddy. Jack, I know you said comics would break your heart, but this double page spread, it breaks my heart. Again, I knew as soon as I saw this double page spread, I was like, I know this is going to be low on my list. The cliffside, again, just kind of boring. Like, worse than the space. I don't know. These guys are kind of interchangeable. Issue 35 and issue 26. They're kind of interchangeable. The Mighty One feels important. Not a great dynamic drawing happening, but definitely feels more important than the previous spread, so it sits in a good place. Like kind of dynamic drawing, like a drawing that certainly is dynamic because Jack did it in the scope of Jack's work on the weaker side. Again, same thing. These guys neck and neck with each other, issue 23 and 31. Same, issue 30, all kind of suffering from like passable but not great next to the stuff that worked really well. This one is super interesting writing wise, which is why it's higher, but it's not necessarily better drawn than the previous spreads. It's really interesting. Like I love characters just staring down the barrel of the camera, you know, right at you. It is interesting. Now we're getting into like, I feel like once we cross that line, issue 25, this one right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 issues of double page spreads out of the 29 were like, I flipped to the double page spread and I wasn't excited when I saw them. Out of all the 29, 8 of them were just like, didn't even do it for me. Nothing. No emotional reaction. This one was the first weakest one, but a great emotional reaction. So it fits here really well. Issue 27, guys sitting around talking, probably the weakest of the bunch. Guys sitting around talking, probably one of the stronger ones. Guys sitting around talking, loading up a car. There's interesting drawings going on. I think maybe I like the tiger or the lions talking more than I like the gangsters talking, even though there's more going on here. And there's more mystery happening here. Like Kamandi doesn't know what he's stumbled into and he thinks they're people. So he's like kind of interested. But I don't know if it's better. I don't know. I kind of feel the same. I feel like we can interchange these pretty easily. Jack drawing some stuff out of his comfort zone. It's not the best drawings he's done, but like it's interesting to see. You don't see Jack drawing a mini mall very often. So that's kind of cool. Especially not within the Kamandi boundaries. You don't see this kind of thing. The weird haunted house. Man, this would be a fun one to recolor, actually. I wonder if I could find it. A higher resolution one. The crazy shortcuts and interesting play with perspective. I respect it. I think maybe it's lower on the list, though. Like, is it better than this? I don't think it is. It's a little more successful, but is it better? I don't know. Man, are the rats lower on the list? I think the rats are under this one. I'm more interested in this because like the wild tech and everything is kind of neat. The rats are like going up to this ship and it's kind of like, yeah. Is this better than the rats? This might be better than the rats. Oh my God, the rats got demoted twice. Is this better than the rats? Maybe? My brain is getting soft. This is not better than the rats. Yeah. The middle is so strange to like figure out because it's like it's not clearly good and it's not clearly terrible. It's like just right in the middle. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this is the right. Okay. Guys sitting around talking, guys sitting around talking. The rats kind of moving cargo, which is like kind of interesting, but like we could have used a background and I don't know. This is interesting only because, you know, Jack's out of his comfort zone, something we don't necessarily get through Kamandi. The weird house is kind of cool, but like suffers from not having modern coloring. Modern coloring would help with the focal point, would help with the mood. Like, yeah, modern coloring would knock this out of the park. Cool perspective play, interesting tech, super fun reveal. Jack again playing with perspective in really interesting ways. Kamandi realizing the full scope of the world he's in, super fun. Ape tripping over to the desk, never not interesting. And from here it's like all bangers, right? Like we're in the top now. We're in the top third. The dune buggies, dynamic and interesting. Flowers there, it's great. Sacker's ship is super fun. I love the little maps. All the maps they put in this are like super awesome. It's really neat being like, it's Jack Kirby making a world, you know, and remaking our world. So he has like roots in it. So there's like, you know, old Florida. It's really interesting. The death race feels like it's in the right place. I struggle with like, should this be lower or higher with the death race? But I think it's good where it's at. The baseline. This is our static. This is our you know, it's got to be better than this to get into the top tier. And this is the crazy bats, super fun. Better than certainly like guys bumping into each other and the death race and Sacker's boat for sure. Although it's like, it's crazy because like this double page spread is really great, and dynamic and interesting. And these bats are bonkers. And there's like this weird guy. But in the scope of the story, the bats are like one and done, like in and out. I don't know. Beautiful dynamic thing. This feels like we're getting to like double page spreads that set the tone for the whole book too. This is an early one, issue 3. Yeah, so good. Kamandi, weird sense of space, beautifully executed. Easy top 4. Yeah, we're in top 4 now. Excellent. All bangers. So good. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've ranked best to least. I'm gonna put a lot of these up on Twitter and talk about them. Let's save the document so that we can do that. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna put the full ranking up on Twitter, but I will talk about like maybe the top 8. What are the top 8? This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, man, issue 28. This one comes out of nowhere because it's like so deep in the series. Like I feel like we're looking at stuff that's happening so early on with these. And then it's like, yeah, like we're setting the tone for the series. Like Jack is really engaged. And then 28 is just like, it's so late, but it clicks. It's so good. It's such a good drawing. Yeah. Man, Jack Kirby, please go read Kamandi. I don't know who. I mean, DC obviously makes money on it, but like, I don't know, man. Just go read Kamandi. It's so good. And like, if you want to see dynamic figures, if you want to see wild, interesting, weird stuff that's like self-contained, Kamandi is your best bet. See, I just realized in this double page spread, Prince Tufton over here is drinking out of a juice box that he like throws away into a pile of wood. It's so strange. This world is so strange that he built. You should check it out. I think that's going to be it for me now. I think we have a new art jam coming up. Yeah, 2 days. We got a new art jam coming up. So we're going to be working on that. Colorist jam. As always, Skies of Arcadia is on Sundays. I've been thinking about like maybe streaming some other games too on the weekend, but like I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing. I don't know. But I also know that on Friday, I'm going to be on twitch.tv/theboiks, and we're going to be playing some Dokapon Kingdom. Apparently, it's a Mario Party game, but with RPG elements, and it advertises on the back of the box that you get to lose some friends with it. So that should be pretty good. I'll be playing that over on his stream, so you can check that out, or I'll host it here where this stream is. Anyway, thank you for watching me talk about Jack Kirby double page spreads for a while. I hope you guys are keeping making comics. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope that you make double page spreads responsibly from now on. Thank you for watching.